Okay, this looks like a pretty good group, so I'll go ahead and kick it off if you're ready, Kirk. Wonderful. So, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Jennifer Rizzi, head of product marketing and content here at Allaware. Today, we're going to talk about optimizing your sales reps' time with AI support and really maximizing their skill set. So, the goal is to make them more productive and keep them selling rather than doing manual tasks. So, that means your sales cycles get shorter and your reps only deal with qualified prospects instead of chasing cold leads continuously. We all know that can be a waste of time. That's a struggle for your reps, and we really want to make them as efficient as possible so they're driving the revenue results that you need. And I'm here with an expert in helping sales teams onboard AI workflows and set them up for success. That's Kirk Jude with Optimus Solutions. He used to be a team member here at Allaware, and now he's grown to be COO of his own consulting agency. So, welcome, Kirk. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Jen. It's a pleasure to be
Absolutely.
here.
Thanks so much for being here. We're excited to have you. Can you introduce yourself and just tell us about your business?
For sure. Again, everyone, my name is Kirk, and I am the COO of Optimus Solutions. This is actually founded by Carlos Pantoja. We are a HubSpot Diamond partner and a consultancy that helps businesses streamline their systems, scale their teams, and integrate tools like Alware, as an example, into their sales workflow. And as Jennifer said, before leading Optimus Solutions, I actually came from the Alware side, so I've seen firsthand how powerful the platform is, not just as a dialer or SMS tool, but as a way to completely transform sales processes. And today, I focus on helping companies bridge the gap between people and technology, training teams to use AI and automation not as a replacement, but as a productivity multiplier. And I'm really excited to share some stories and strategies with you today. And hopefully, you'll leave with some practical ideas you can start applying right away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kirk. He's very experienced with our platform. He's used it firsthand for years and now is taking that knowledge and driving results for his own clients, which is really, really exciting. So we're grateful to have him and definitely listen up because these are some wonderful insights.
For sure, for sure.
So, a little table of contents overview of what we'll be talking about today. We'll talk about the mindset changes you need to make in order to make AI adoption successful at your organization. We'll talk about AI as a productivity assistant versus a threat, kind of like Kirk was previewing. So, not something that's coming for our jobs, but something that's helping us to do our jobs better and making us more successful. We'll talk about early results and patterns that you can see in the first 45 days of AI adoption. So that's exciting. You can actually start seeing results in as little as 45 days, as Kirk will show us. We'll also talk about using AI voice agents and SMS bots into your workflow, kind of incorporating those for your sales reps and getting them into the habit of using those tools. So, it's really automation that is automatic for them, and it's really helping them reduce that time to connect with every new lead. We'll talk about upskilling SDRs and BDRs. We'll kind of use those terms interchangeably throughout the presentation, but turning them from dialers into deal makers. In other words, consultative sellers. So, how can they really get in there and help warm leads and cross the finish line with these deals versus just dialing a bunch of cold leads day after day and kind of hoping that they'll land? There's ways that you can use AI to warm up cold leads and make sure that their conversations are being productive versus them just putting feelers out into the wilderness. We'll also talk about overcoming resistance at your org. So, even though AI is here to stay, sometimes people don't always welcome it with open arms, and there's challenges there. So, Kirk and I definitely have some advice for getting over those roadblocks in your org and convincing stakeholders that it is the true path forward and previewing those results that you can achieve. And then we'll also talk about CRM integration and the importance of really having your phone system talk to your CRM and having that good two-way sync and progress. So all of that data is being captured at your disposal and you can use it at will, again, to help those deals cross the finish line. And then we'll close out by kind of showing two plug and play workflow examples. Both Kirk and I will show you guys workflows that we've built for our jobs. Kirk will preview a workflow that he's rolled out with his own clients and helping them become more efficient with AI and get their feet wet. And I'll show you a workflow that I built here at Allaware. It actually helped drive webinar attendance today. So you might have unknowingly been a part of that workflow, and I'll kind of break that down and show you how I did it. So lots of good stuff to come. So, Kirk, just to kick it off, we'll talk about mindset shifts. So, what do you
Sure.
think are the biggest mindset shifts that companies need to make while introducing AI into their sales workflows?
Yeah, the first and most important mindset shift is reframing AI from being a replacement to being an augmentation. A lot of companies come into the conversation thinking AI is going to reduce headcount. But that's a very narrow way of looking at it, to be honest. The real value of AI is in helping your existing team operate like a much larger team without burning out. It's really about making humans more effective and not less valuable. And so instead of asking what can AI replace, the better question is what can AI take off my team's plate so they can do more of the work that moves the needle? For example, instead of spending hours on research or manually logging activities, AI can instantly provide call summaries, draft emails, and make sure CRM fields are updated. And that means your BDRs and AEs can spend more time actually having meaningful conversations and closing deals. The second big shift is embracing iteration. AI isn't plug and play perfect. It shouldn't be treated that way. Think of it like a new hire, okay? You wouldn't expect a new BDR to work in on day one and be flawless. You train them, you coach them, and watch them improve. And AI is practically the same way. The companies that succeed are the ones that adopt a culture of experimentation, trying things, refining prompts, tweaking workflows, and understanding that AI gets better over time as it learns from your data and your feedback. And the third mindset for me, honestly, is about visibility and trust. Leaders need to start trusting AI to handle the busy work so they can trust their reps to spend their time on the strategic work. And I want to emphasize on strategic work right there because AI is not going to do it for you. Your reps will. Once teams embrace those shifts, AI adoption becomes less about fear and more about opportunity.
I love that. I think that's such great insights there because anybody can show up to work and just be busy all day. They can
Right.
even feign being busy. It's not about activities, it's about moving the needle, as you said, and driving those revenue results. So I think it's important for any leader to consider, how are these activities feeding into our larger goal, obviously? So are they closing deals? Are they changing lead stages? Are they actually having an impact on the buyer's journey? So I think that's important to track those things. And without having the right tools in place, it's very difficult to make those connections. So I know that's what you work with clients on a lot, Kirk, and you've really helped them drive more results, which is exciting. So yeah, I think we're kind of moving as a whole society just away from busy work in general. So it's not about making those dials. You can make, 200 bad dials a day, 500 plus bad dials a day. But, if you're not being thoughtful about your strategy and your process, then you're not going to land those conversations that are going to count at the end of the day. I love
That's right. I agree.
that. Mhm. So let's talk about reframing AI as empowerment, so that productivity assistant instead of a threat. I know we all hear mixed messages nowadays that well, AI can do your job better than you or it's smarter than you. And I know that that's not true. And I can see in your expression, you agree with me, Kirk. So there's a lot to unpack there, but I feel like we're all kind of feeling that anxiety. But in order to roll out AI effectively throughout your organization, you need to address those concerns. You need to put people at ease and make AI work with you, not against you. And so let's talk about that. How do you, Kirk, train teams to use AI as a productivity assistant versus a threat?
Right. Now, I have a background in training before becoming COO or even doing systems. I have a background in training, so it's really important for me to really understand my audience, what the fears are, and what we are trying to tackle. At Optima, we've made it part of our DNA that AI is not here to replace job. It's here to transform them. And that philosophy starts with training. We never just roll out tools and say, here you go. Instead, we take a very hands-on approach where we frame AI as an assistant that works for the rep, not against them. In workshops, because we do it regularly, at least thrice a year, we do come together and do these workshops in a co-working activity. We would help reps through real-world use cases, showing them how AI can draft a follow-up text in seconds, how it can create a clean call summary while they move on to the next lead, or how it can enrich a record with missing details. Those are the tasks that usually drag people down and eat up hours. And to those BDRs here who haven't tackled AI yet, you know what I'm talking about, right? But when you see, or when they see that AI takes care of that work instantly, they stop worrying about AI being a threat and start seeing it as a tool that they can lean on. But the key part is trying to back it, or is trying it back to their growth, or tying it back to their growth. We tell them this is not about making you redundant, it's about making you more valuable. When AI handles the admin, you can focus on higher quality conversations, running better discovery calls, or even moving into more advanced responsibilities that were previously out of reach. And I'd like to give you an example. We actually had a team where, because I've led BDRs back in the day when I was with Alaware as well. We had a team where BDRs were spending half their day just logging calls. I've done it myself. I know how taxing that could be. Once AI took that over, management was able to expand their role into more client-facing opportunities. Those BDRs didn't lose relevance. They gained new skills and moved closer to becoming AEs. That's why we say we are transforming staff and not replacing them at all.
And that's such a great opportunity for the BDRs too, because think of how much farther they can go in their career by upskilling so early on. So, there's so many of us that started off at sales and paid our dues being those dialers, but we didn't get more experience than that. And now we're pushing new frontiers with AI because it's opening so much time during the day. They can think more
Yeah.
strategically, to your point. They can actually analyze deals. And that's ultimately how we realize our potential as sellers and as employees. So it's just really exciting. We've never seen anything like this before, but that's going to move the needle for the business as well versus just somebody crunching numbers on the phone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear more. I know in a previous conversation, Kirk, you kind of told me about how you incorporate people's voices into the AI production. You've hosted town halls and workshops, and you customize training by department. Can you kind of go into that a little bit and how you help your clients' employees take ownership over the AI?
Yeah, basically, it's actually drawing back from the experiences that they've had before AI. So, everyone, now that AI is here, I want you to understand that your previous experiences do not go to waste. We need them to be able to frame AI and make it work to our advantage. So what we really do in these town halls or in these co-working activities is to collect data coming from everyone who's done it before prior to AI. How's it like when you are talking to a gatekeeper, or how do you overcome objections? Or what are common objections that you encountered on a day-to-day basis? We collect those data so that we can know how to train our AI and make sure that our AI is responsive in a way that it is natural and not robotic as well, because that's one thing that we want to avoid, right? So basically, it's really drawing from experiences beforehand. And also, while AI is working, we want to see how people are interacting or responding to AI on a day-to-day basis so that we can continue improving it.
I love that because at the end of the day, the AI is only as good as the human beings running it. So they have to
That's
have
right.
full oversight. In our last webinar, we had a catchphrase garbage in, garbage out. So it only knows what you tell it. If you don't know what you're talking about, you're not going to get a good result. But if you do have people actively involved in the process of managing it as their productivity assistant, then you're going to yield a heck of a lot better results. And, you're going to actually connect better with those leads and give them messaging that they're going to respond to. So, can you kind of talk about, Kirk, a little bit about the human in the loop systems of how you ensure that the AI is being managed effectively and also, make people proud of the output?
Basically, what we need to do is to make sure that people understand, or whoever's using AI understand how it's built and why it is built. These are conversations I have with team members who are we we are introducing to AI. Because if they understand that part, it's easy for them to really adapt and also check if AI is doing its job right. So this is more of a conversation that we have with the ones who are given admin access to these AI tools. It's important for us to check if, what AI is saying or doing is really relevant to the goals that we're setting. If we know what we want AI to do, it's also easy to correct if ever, AI, as I've said earlier, AI is never perfect. It may commit mistakes, it may make mistakes, but if you are there able to oversee things and you are constantly checking on how AI is working for your company or for your team, it's easy to, stitch those edges that needs refining. So I think that's what we want to do, especially to those that are doing admin stuff.
I think that's a really great takeaway to be prescriptive with the goals that you're giving it because otherwise it's not going to know. So you do have to be hands-on in the process and then you're going to be satisfied with the results and you'll see the business impact. So I really love how you take that approach with your clients, Kirk, and you make sure that they're involved with the whole setup because then they do feel ownership over it.
Yeah. Involvement is key. You have to be present in the entire thing. You can't just wait for a finished product. So be involved.
Yeah, we're definitely not at the point yet where AI can just take the ball and run with it over the finish line. In 10
That's
years,
right.
who knows? But, humans, of course, need to be involved every step of the way at this point.
That's correct.
Okay, so this is so exciting, and I was really blown away when you told me about these results earlier, Kirk. So you really do see the needle move very quickly after you start working with clients and rolling out these AI workflows. So, and with connecting their phone system to their CRM through Alaware and using voice bots, SMS bots, and you really see differences in productivity, quality, and deal velocity. Can you kind of talk about how you've driven those results so far and what you've seen?
Sure, the numbers are pretty much on in the screen right now, and it changes from time to time. We just had an updated review over the weekend, so some numbers, but they're close to what you see on your screen. But basically, the first 45 days are incredibly telling because that's when you see the quickest wins and also the cultural shift. The most obvious improvement is speed to lead, and I have prepared an example workflow later on for you guys to see on how speed to lead counts. Across clients, we see response times improved by about 20 to 40%. Leads that might have taken a few hours or even a day to get a response are now being touched within minutes. And we know from multiple studies that if you're the first company to respond to a new lead, your close rate grows up dramatically. The second thing we see is data quality because AI is handling call notes, CRM updates, and follow-up tasks. The data is so much more consistent. Managers who are used to looking at incomplete dashboards suddenly see every call logged, every field updated, and better decision making at the leadership level as well. And, I think I can add in there, the third pattern is morale. I can't stress this enough. When you take the admin weight off reps, their energy level changes. They stop dreading the end of the day when they'd normally spend an hour or two updating the CRM. Instead, they go home on time and come back the next day energized. That morale shift is huge for retention. And then around weeks 6 to 7, we start seeing deal velocity pick up. And the reason behind it is because by that point, the workflows have stabilized. So I want to point this one out. Workflows need stabilization as well. It does not work in a snap. So by that time, workflows have stabilized, the reps have adapted, and they're consistently spending more time in actual selling conversations. So in the short term, you see productivity and morale improve, and in the medium term, you start to see deals move through the pipeline faster.
I love that. And I think it's important to remember that things do take time to breathe. So 45 days is pretty darn good in my opinion, and that's some quick
Yeah.
results, but you do have to take time to experiment, to iterate, to see what's working and what's not working. So it's not the snap of your fingers, but if you do it right and you have the right products and tools and expertise, you can actually see the needle move in as early as 45 days. So This is really awesome, and it's impressive stuff that you've brought this to your clients. And I just wanted to add a little more color on the speed to lead point. So, I mean, nowadays the stats show that you really only have about 30 to 90 seconds to respond to a new lead. And if you don't, that person's going to move on, likely to a competitor. So if they're responding right away and they have those systems in place, they have that voice bot set up or those SMS bot workflows set up where they're responding in that 90-second window and you're not, then it's a big competitive disadvantage. So these workflows are not tough to set up. They just take a little bit of practice. You launch them, they kind of do their own thing, they automate the process, and then you never have to worry about a lead going cold again. And it talks right to your CRM. And at Allaware, we actually have 6 new HubSpot properties that help you manage speed to lead. So, they measure overall first engagements, calls, SMS. So you can see the timestamp in HubSpot of when those come in, those calls and texts, and how fast your reps are actually responding to those. So you can create dashboards even. So it really is a manager's best friend there.
I agree,
Mhm. Yeah, wonderful. So yeah, and it really affects the whole deal velocity. So
yeah,
15% can be a huge increase.
for sure.
Let's talk success stories. So AI in action. How have voice agents or SMS bots specifically changed the way that your clients operate?
Right. So we are currently working with a client who has or who is currently doing high volume direct mail campaigns. They were getting thousands of inbound leads every week, but their BDRs couldn't keep up. And leads were slipping through the cracks, and a lot of marketing dollars were being wasted because follow-up wasn't happening consistently. So we really wanted to layer in AI voice agents and SMS bots to solve the speed to lead problem. And now, as soon as a lead responds to their direct mail, the AI agent automatically places a call. And if the person doesn't answer, it leaves a voicemail and sends a personalized text message within minutes. The difference was night and day, I tell you. Before BDRs were spending hours every day trying to catch up on cold calls and data entry after they logged in each morning to find a pipeline of leads who had already been touched and in some cases already responded. And their role shifted from chasing down unresponsive prospects to having, as I've said earlier, meaningful conversations with warmed up prospects. That shift changed everything for the sales culture. Instead of feeling like they were always behind, the team started feeling like they were ahead of the curve. And AI essentially gave them the power to be everywhere at once without burning out their people. You can see the numbers that I've shared with Jennifer on screen. So those are the results that they're actually enjoying right now. And again, I don't want to sell this one as if it's a picture perfect world. There are still everyday firefighting on the side, but what's better is that they focus their energy now in, high level conversations rather than doing all the legwork every day and waste their time doing those legwork. So
I
pretty
love
amazing.
the reality is we don't live in a patient world, so people do want that
Right.
instant gratification. But there's no rep in the world that can respond in a minute every single time. It's just not realistic at all. So these automated workflows are necessary, and that's really where AI comes in to handle it. So then, your reps are focusing their energy in the most strategic way, and they've already got the warm prospect there that's kind of ready for the sale, honestly. So they already know that it's a good fit. And yeah, I think this is so impressive. But would you say that 45 days on average you see this, or is it give or take a little bit depending on the situation?
It really depends on the laid out sales process of the business that we're working with. There are some sales processes that would have multiple longer stages to take. So if they have longer stages to take before a deal is closed, then it really needs more than 45 days for you to see the fruit of your labor. But most of the time, with the general businesses that we've worked with, 45 days or at least 60 days is really more than enough.
That's amazing. Yeah, so it is very fast paced and you don't have to wait years for these results. They come a lot
That's
sooner.
right.
And I just want to reiterate, I see there's some participation going on, which is so exciting. We'll have Q&A at the end, so we've got a lot of information to get through, and we want to make sure that we can do all of that before we kind of open it up to questions. But if anyone has a burning question, like I said, pop it in the chat. We'll review everything at the end, but we're not taking questions just yet, but hold on tight because we're getting there. All right, so let's talk about upskilling BDRs into those full cycle sellers that we mentioned. So, we're not stuck in these entry level positions anymore if you're just getting into sales. It's really exciting. With AI assistance, you can grow very quickly in your career. So, can you talk about this a little bit, Kirk, how you're helping clients transition their BDRs into actual full cycle sellers?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite use cases because it speaks to the human side of AI. Traditionally, BDRs are the entry point into sales. They're asked with high volume dialing, logging, and a lot of repetitive manual work. It's valuable experience, as I've said a while ago, but it doesn't prepare them as quickly for sales cycle role yes, for full cycle sales roles. What we're doing with AI is using it as a bridge. AI takes over the repetitive work, the dialing, the logging, the note taking. So the BDR can start spending more time on meaningful tasks. For example, reviewing AI generated insights before a discovery call, preparing tailored question, or assisting an AE with an account research. Those are really, really important. And that exposure accelerates their development as BDRs. They're no longer stuck at the bottom of the funnel. They're actually learning how to manage more of the sales cycle earlier in their career, which is really nice. And for companies, this creates a huge advantage. They don't just get better productivity in the short term, they also get a stronger internal pipeline of future AEs. And for the reps, it means a faster, clearer career path.
Yeah, and that can actually help with your employee retention too, because if you give them those skills early and you give them that AI support early, they're going to be more likely to stay with your company. They're going to know your product inside and out, and they're going to be ready for that next step. So instead of seeking that next step at another company, they're going to be more loyal to you and reduce your churn rate too of employees. So I think that's really important to keep in mind. And
Yeah.
I love, Kirk, that you mentioned sales enablement tools with AI for persona mapping and lead scoring. So I know when we talked earlier, you kind of mentioned conversational intelligence was a big piece of that. So equipping your reps with that conversational intelligence to go in and review the call and see the strength of their pitches and see really what the clients objected to, even if they were caught off guard in the moment. They can review that data and they can review those AI summaries. And at Allaware, we have AI voice analytics. So it gives you, as a manager, everything you need to know to track conversations across your org. So you can filter by call, by ring group, by department, and you can really drill down and see, what is customer satisfaction for your billing department versus your ops department. So there's so much data there. It really is such a gold mine, but it also gives your reps the ability to critically evaluate themselves. And when you're coaching the reps, you can bring up those conversation summaries and say, hey, you might have wanted to handle this objection a different way. And you can really hone in on those turning points in every call and see where deals went south or maybe where a rep really shined, and then you can use their talk track as a coaching example. So I was just curious, Kirk, if you had any more color or more light to shed on that aspect of how you use the voice analytics.
The voice analytics is one of my favorite things that came out of Alra. I think it came out before the Allo AI even went out. I was one of the first few people who got to experience it. And when I was managing BDRs in the past, it was difficult for me. This is a personal experience. It was really difficult for me to, be able to have coaching sessions with my BDRs to give them feedback to redirect behaviors during phone calls. But with that transcript that tells me when the client or the prospect was happy in the call and when was that part where he felt really confused or not really happy with the conversation at all, Aluware gives you those data, those insights. So it was easier for me to just get in, not have I don't have to listen to the entire call anymore. I just have the transcripts there, and then Aluware, the tool in itself, would highlight those that needs to be um to be focused on and redirect my BDRs with. And then also not just to, this is just not more about redirecting as well. This is about reinforcing as well great behaviors in those calls. Because when the client's tones are happy, you just easily check what did the BDR say, and then you can go ahead and share it with everyone else. This strategy worked for this BDR, and you can see that one in here. And I have a data to back up what I'm saying. It's not just about, this is what I feel. This is what really happened because data is there. So that's the most amazing part there. And I think managers, it's easy for us to coach our BDRs at that point or even SDRs at that point because Alaware gives you all the insights that you need to be effective in your role as a leader as well.
Yeah, I love that. And as any sales manager can attest, reps are sometimes stubborn and they're not always open to coaching. Even when you come in good faith and you want them to become better sellers, sometimes they're set in their ways. They don't always listen with an open ear. So you really need that hard data to back up your assertions. And that's just so easy when you have the transcripts in front of you and the conversation summaries in front of you. And let's face it, sales managers don't have the time to scrub through hours of recordings. We're way too busy. It's just not feasible during the week. But if you can cut that down by 80% and just read a summary in a minute or less, you have the insights you need to hop on those coaching sessions and point to real examples for the reps and say, you really could have done this a little better, or I really love how you responded to this objection. Or, it really helps you identify gaps in product knowledge as well. So if they're pitching the
Yes.
solution maybe the wrong way, or it becomes apparent that they don't really understand a part of the product, those insights are going to surface in the conversation summaries. So you don't have to spend hours digging through recordings. It's all right there in front of you, and you can have way more productive coaching sessions.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk about resistance to AI in general. So, any trailblazer knows when you're trying to onboard new solutions, bring new things into your company, you're going to have resistance. Not everybody is going to just jump on the bandwagon, as nice as that would be, but there's ways that you can effectively get around that. And one thing you mentioned in the past, Kirk, is that resistance doesn't always mean a hard no. So, I'd love to kind of dig into what you've seen working with clients and how you kind of bring their mindset around to embrace this rather than shy away from it.
Yeah, as you said, resistance is very common, especially in traditional sales orgs where reps have been doing things the same way for years. The most common fear is AI is going to take my job, or this is just management's way of cutting corners. The way we overcome that is by showing quick, tangible wins. That's really important for us. For example, we'll roll out AI call notes. A rep who used to spend 5 to 10 minutes after every call typing notes suddenly has that time back. That is an extra hour or two every day they can spend on selling or just finishing on time. When they experience that benefit firsthand, the fear starts to fade. Another strategy is framing. We don't present AI as mandatory, right? I said this before, Jen. We usually say, "Hi, this is a tool to make your life easier. Try it. If it helps, great. If not, let us know why, and we'll keep refining it." That approach turns resistance into curiosity and curiosity into buy-in. In fact, some of the reps who are the most resistant at the start end up becoming the biggest champions once they realize it's giving them their time back. So the process has to be gradual, not to shock recipients or not to shock your BDRs or anyone who is new to AI, but it's actually slowly introducing the benefits little by little. I think also understanding their use cases as well as end users is so important so that you know what part of AI do I introduce first? Do I introduce everything? Or do I just introduce it little by little? So that's the trick there. I think it's worked so far. Um, and you guys have to give it a try.
I love that. Curiosity is so important. And can you elaborate or think of an example of maybe that rep that you had in mind who was resistant at first, but they became the biggest champion? How did that happen? Was it what about the AI did they latch onto? Like, was it the conversational intelligence? Was it the automatic call logging so they didn't have to take notes? Or what do you think, in your opinion, really swayed them to become a champion?
Um, as I've said earlier, I was business development manager handling BDRs back in Aliware in the day. I think 3, 4 years ago. So I think I can use myself as a really, really good example. I have said this during the start of this webinar. One thing that I really didn't want to happen is for our prospects to feel like they're receiving emails or calls from a robot. That's just not genuine at all. So I would just rather drop the call. That was my main concern back in the day. So I was kind of resistant to what AI can do, but when I was handling these BDRs and I was first introduced, it was really great for Allure to do it that way. We started with the transcript thing. It started there, and then I saw, okay, it's making my life so much easier now. I can talk to more BDRs and coach them on a weekly basis. They feel like I am present in their growth and I am there to assist them in their career path. And then little by little, I started to explore, like, what else can AI do? And then I figured, you know what? AI is a tool that I need to train myself so it does not come across like a robot, but just, even the ones who are receiving those AI calls, they would feel like, you know what, this conversation is much better because I had to, you know, especially I'm a little chatty. So only imagine if I do those BDRs calls, it would be really, really long and probably they wouldn't want to listen to me anymore. But with Allo AI, it can be very direct to the point, yet still really insightful. It's direct to the point in the sense that it tells you what is the goal of the call, and then you can decide almost instantaneously. And then if you are interested, you get to agree, and then book that appointment and then everything else goes. So it's just like that. I am basing it from personal experience here, Jen.
I know we definitely miss you here at Allaware. We know you have a lot of experience, but that's so true. I mean, once you can show how it really helps them do their job better and meets their goal, they're going to be all for it, of course, because every salesperson is a relationship builder by nature. They thrive on talking to people, on communicating, not on sitting back and doing manual work or trying to, log every little thing. But sales managers need those logs to do their job. So it's kind of this always back and forth tension. And managers can't always even trust firsthand accounts because they can leave things out, purposely or not purposely. We're all humans. Sometimes we forget to log things. So once you take that off their plate, then not only does it give you a more honest look at their performance and if they're meeting their KPIs, but it's freeing so much more time in their day to focus on that relationship building aspect that they absolutely love. So you're going to get happier reps.
For sure.
I love that. And then as somebody who's done a lot of sales enablement in the past, it's, so important to really, pull out those examples and kind of review scripts together and really show how it is helping them with the data meet their goals. So having those honest conversations, I think, is really important, and they'll be very receptive to that. And seeing those early adopters take the ball and run with it is great too, because once they see, even if you can't convince them as the manager, if they see their peers doing really well with the AI tools, then it's just a matter of keeping up with them. And salespeople are competitive by nature. So then, even what you can't convince, them looking at other people on your team and your colleagues having that success, it's going to light that fire under them and really help them be more open minded.
That's right.
Love that. So with HubSpot and Alaware together, we've talked a lot about CRM integration. So I'm sure there's a lot of HubSpot users here on the call, but we also integrate very deeply with Salesforce. We have Pipedrive, Zoho, many other integrations. So even if you're not a HubSpot user, there's a lot that you can still do integration wise with Alaware. But I know you specialize, obviously, as a diamond partner, Kirk, in the HubSpot Alaware integration. So how does that really change the game for your outreach, connecting the two systems?
Yeah, first things first, Optima Solutions, we actually work with multiple CRMs, but HubSpot on its own is an excellent CRM, but it's more of a system of record than a true communication hub. So without Alaware, teams are juggling multiple platforms, dialers, texting tools, voicemail apps, and then manually pushing that data back into HubSpot. That is not only inefficient, it also creates gaps in data. And as someone who's worked with very many CRMs already, data health is so important. You cannot trust your reports if the data health is down. So when you integrate Alaware with HubSpot, which is actually really native, everything changes. Suddenly, every call, every text, every voicemail is automatically logged into HubSpot. Reps don't have to think about data entry anymore. Managers don't have to chase down missing activities, and leadership has one clean, accurate source of truth. So if our team jumps in as HubSpot builders or CRM builders and we create custom reports for our clients, we know that we are giving them true numbers and not just numbers that are not really dependable because we don't know about the data health. The other big shift is in the outbound strategy, which we do with our clients all the time. With the two platforms connected, teams can build multi-channel cadences that are seamless. An email through HubSpot followed by a call through Alaware, followed by an automated SMS if there's no answer. All of that happens inside one ecosystem that turns HubSpot from being just where we log activity into being the actual place where conversations happen. It's a major transformation. Believe me, I've seen it before and I've seen it and I'm seeing it now. It really is so different. You can just centralize everything and trust where it's all centralized.
Absolutely. Nobody likes to hop between tools, even if it saves you a matter of 5 minutes per call. That really adds up during the day, or even a minute per call, because there's no digging for your cell phone to send that text or to make that call. You just click to call right in HubSpot. You shoot that SMS right in HubSpot or Salesforce. We have native SMS capabilities in Salesforce as well. So to do everything from the same browser window, those little minutes throughout the day is going to turn into hours throughout the week, and it's going to be so much more productive.
That's right.
All right, so I think we're all excited to see the real life workflows that you've prepared, Kirk. So if you have that handy, let's dive in and see what you actually use to onboard clients.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. One
Definitely.
of the most impactful workflows we pre-build is a speed to lead workflow. It's simple, but it solves a critical gap. And with Optimus Solutions, what we do with our clients before we even do the actual work is they go through an audit session with us because we want to understand their sales process, their business process, and then help them build stages if they don't have it. And if they have it, then we'll help refine those stages. And then we will start building the automations in it. So I'm gonna be using if I'm looking at another way, but I hope you guys can see this workflow. Yeah, yeah, I
Yep, I
think
can see it from my
very
end.
good. All right, so this is a deal nurturing automation that my team has created for me for the sake of this webinar. But this is pretty much the same of what we do for all of our clients. Behind this workflow is also another automation that whenever someone submits or sends their information through a form that we built into HubSpot, it automatically assigns them into a specific deal stage. And in this example right here, we have a few deal stages. We have new opportunity, which are the ones that are really untouched, fresh leads. And then the ones that are under discovery call, and then proposal preparation, proposal sent, and then close won and close lost. Now, in this sense, as soon as that contact sends out or sends in their details through the HubSpot form that we created, it gets straight to having a deal record under new opportunity right away. So what happens is that the system will send out an email. You'll see here unknown because I've not tagged any user on who will be assigned. But in this case, an email will be sent out to that person right away. The reason why we start with an email is because it is a form submission, so we expect that they were on their computers. So it would only make sense to send an email first, and then we'll give a little delay here. Clients can decide with us whether they want a 1 day delay or a 15-minute delay. It really depends on the type of business that they're offering. Most of the time, if we are dealing with clients who are B2B, usually it should take at least a day before the next touch point happens. But if it's B2C, we want to be as fast as we can. So usually the delay would only be at around 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. That strategic approach is to also make sure that prospects don't feel like they are bombarded with many touch points from our company. It has to be planned strategically. Now, in this sense, we are expecting that this email would already invite them to book a discovery call with your sales rep, and there is a round robin in there. If they don't, what we want to do is to send a follow-up email and then some delays as well, and then text messages. You will see here, Alware immediately sends a text. So in that sense, your BDRs or SDRs or AEs doesn't have to come into the system and see, did my prospect respond? Or did he even book a schedule? No. The system would know it, and then Alware will just automatically send that text message, and we have already a prepared template for that. You don't have to manually text that person because the system does it for you. And it's pretty much the same thing with all the other stages in here. The stage doesn't stop at discovery call. You want to be able to nurture the lead until you close that deal. So what normally happens here is that if there is a need for us to give that person a phone call, then you can just go ahead. It's either you assign a task so that the BDR this time is the one making the phone call and not the the AI that we've set in place. You tell the BDR this time that, you know what, it's time to have that human interaction. He already agreed to to a discovery call. Go ahead and call based on the time that he's agreed to speak with you. So really, this is what I was saying earlier. It gives time back to your BDRs instead of doing those legwork. They are able to jump in to where it means the most, and those are through discovery calls. Same thing with what we do here at Alaware. I don't think, or I mean here at Optima Solutions, I don't think any of our existing clients would tell you that they have been, bombarded by our BDRs. They come into us hot, and then we just deal with them when it's most meaningful, when it's most important. So it also saves them time in this entire deal process. They just hop in, and then if they're happy, then we do the entire process by having them audits, and then we start building. So it's easier for us. The timeline is cut short because we don't have to do those legwork anymore. The system does. And this is just one of the simple automations that Optima Solutions build for our clients. We even build the most complex ones, and they don't even have to worry about strategizing it because Optima Solutions would just step in, give our recommendations, and then for some good reason, they trust us in the process, and then it's worked for them over time. So pretty
That's
amazing for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for walking us through, Kirk. That really is a master class in sales automation right there. So I think we all appreciated seeing that. And then before we take some questions, I'm just going to show you guys my automation really quickly that I built with Alaware and HubSpot. So this was to help drive attendance for this webinar today. So basically, I went into Alaware and I created a sequence. So very easy to do. Then you just give it a name, give it a description of what the purpose is. You can decide if it runs every day or on business days. You can set the schedule of a certain time range or any time. You select the line that you want to use, and then you can have little opt-out measures too, or you can choose to do those in HubSpot if you prefer. So once you save that, then you're good to actually build out your sequence. So I did this. It's just a one-step sequence, so super easy because I wanted the Allo AI SMS bot to contact everybody who had opened our email about the webinar but not registered yet. So I put that step in here. And then when I went to HubSpot, I just built this really simple three-step automation as well. So you create your criteria here, and then you just have the sequence come in. You send a text, SMS, or MMS. And then you have the automation enrolled to the sequence that you just created in Alaware, which of course is our SMS bot, and then it automatically launches on everyone to remind them to register for the webinar. So that's kind of how I did it. Now you can see a peek behind the curtain there, but very easy to replicate from your end as well. Okay, so question time. Thank you all for being so patient as we went through all the material, and I'd love to kind of dive in. So if there's anything specifically for Kirk, let him know, or myself, and we're happy to help you. So it looks like we have someone says, is the cold calling concept out of the window essentially? There are a lot of business owners that are very head on regarding this method of outreach. Um, Personally, I would say it's a blend. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater if you feel like you're getting the results from the cold calling, but AI, like we said, really warms up those conversations. So you're not wasting your time on cold leads and you're actually having more productive conversations. So I know some people are kind of married to cold calling or they really feel that it works, but keep both going for a while. You know, you don't have to overhaul everything in one day, but if you find that the SMS bot or the voice agent is a better first step, then you can iterate moving forward and you can say, hey, maybe we really don't need those cold calls or as many anymore, but you'll definitely get a feel for it and see what's working. Anything
That's
you'd
right.
like to add there, Kirk?
Yeah, I wouldn't say cold calling is out of the window. It's more that the role of cold calling has evolved. There are still plenty of business owners and sales leaders who are very head-on about this method, and for some industries, it remains effective. The difference today is that cold calling doesn't live in isolation anymore. AI and tools like Alaware allows us to turn what used to be a pure numbers game into a precision game. Instead of dialing down a giant cold list, we can use AI to pre-qualify, segment, and even warm those leads with SMS, email, or voicemail drops before a rep ever picks up the phone. By the time a rep makes a call, it's not cold anymore. It's a warm, informed outreach where the prospect has already had some light engagement. So the concept of picking up the phone to reach a prospect is still alive. And for many business owners, it's still or it will always feel like the real work. But what's changed is that AI reduces the grind. You don't need 100 dials to find one conversation. AI helps you narrow it to 20 dials that turn into five quality conversations. So, in short, cold calling isn't gone, but the cold part is fading. The phone is still powerful, but now it's part of a multi-channel AI assisted strategy that gets you to the right conversations faster.
Very well said. We're enabling those relationships, not
Yes,
taking away from them.
that's
Very
right.
well said. Another question, can you explain the speed to lead that could be applicable for SaaS companies that look to automate the sales process, making it run on autopilot? I love that question. As we talked about earlier, speed to lead is just so important and so critical to success. So with Alaware, you can very easily, build a HubSpot workflow where a form submission comes in and that voice agent calls them right away. That SMS bot calls them right away. Or if you don't want to launch the bot, you can just send a static SMS message or an MMS. So you have many options. There's really no excuse for not doing it nowadays because it's so easy to set up and let it run itself. So, you're never missing that inquiry. Yeah, you definitely can set up many different workflows to make that happen and take the stress off of your team.
That's right.
Any color you would have, Kirk?
Yeah, for sure. In SaaS, speed to lead is everything. When someone fills out a demo request or downloads a white paper, their intent is highest in the exact moment. So if your sales team waits even 30 minutes, their attention may have already shifted to a competitor or another priority. And studies show conversion rates drop by as much as 80%. I'm gonna stress that one out, 80% if you don't follow up in the first 10 minutes. That's where automation and autopilot processes come in. So for SaaS companies, we typically build speed to lead workflows that connect marketing, CRM, and communication tools like Alaware. As an example, it would look like lead capture and then instant routing and then qualification on autopilot and then CRM plus nurturing. I think it's pretty much um, the example that I showed you earlier is pretty much going to give you a picture on how that would look like, and the impact is huge. SaaS teams no longer waste hours manually chasing demo requests. Instead, every inbound lead is touched within 2 to 5 minutes, either by a rep or by automation, and qualification starts instantly. And then reps walk into conversations with context instead of chasing cold leads. So speed to lead in SaaS isn't just about calling quickly, it's about building a system where no lead ever sits idle. From the moment someone raises their hand, automation ensures they're engaged, qualified, and moved into the right part of the funnel, often before a human even touches the record. And that's how you put the sales process on autopilot while still delivering a personal experience.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That's really valuable. And you never even have to miss a lead again or miss an inbound call with voice agents because you can set it up to route any missed inbound call directly to a voice agent for that lead vetting. So it works 24/7. After business hours, your reps aren't available. Just, send it to the voice agent. They're going to capture everything for you in real time. So the reps can take over when they come into work the next morning. And that's
I
really valuable.
Yeah, I agree.
More questions. That's all we had in queue there. Thanks for the participation there. It's a great opportunity to take advantage of Kirk's knowledge.
Thanks.
No more questions today? Okay, we're about at time anyway, so no worries there. Thank you everybody for joining. I hope you found this insightful. I really appreciated your participation, and a round of applause for Kirk. We're so grateful to have him today, and thank you for sharing all those wonderful insights. Oh,
The honor is all mine. Thank you very much.
absolutely. Was there one more question? I saw a hand raised. Want to make sure we get to it if so. Um, Feel free to pop it in the chat if you have a question. No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Yes, the recording will be sent to everybody afterwards, so feel free to replay, share it around, and yes, reach out to us at Allaware. Our sales team will be happy to answer additional questions for you, and contact Kirk if you think he can help. He's got some great things going on at Optima.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Take care.